for the countless lives that have been lost by an America that hasn't delivered on the promises of the Declaration of Independence that said that we were all created equal. We're out here now singing because every day doesn't have to be sad. We don't have to be imprisoned by what the conditions are, but we do have to acknowledge them at some point in time, and I guess that's what this is, the sort of anchor of the conversation. Voting is a way to actuate this anger, this frustration we have with the America that is. It's our way to change the rules. It will not be the be-all, end-all, because to get our elected officials in is not to change the lack of empathy or compassion that exists on the other side of this morality, but what it does do is position us to better hold it accountable. And so, as we have this movement, where we're out and we're in the streets every day, disrupting social order as we know it, to advance a narrative and a dialogue about important things, it's important that we understand that one of the ways to advance our interests to the places and spaces where decision making is being done is through electoral politics. It's through putting people in office who hold true to our values. It's voting the people out who don't hold true to our values. It's remembering that as we have so many different ways to exercise power in this America, one of the most surefire ways is a vote. And we know that it's powerful because of the way that it's attempted to be suppressed, historically and currently. You know, we look at what should have been the election of Stacey Abrams as the governor in Georgia. And we are reminded that now, even in our modern times, that there is an active effort to suppress the minority vote. That there is an active effort to leave those voices out of the conversation. And so, one has to wonder, why would it be so much effort to hold it back if it was worth nothing? Why would there be so much of a concerted effort on the other side to make sure that we don't vote with exact voter ID and name matching rules and things that are inherently biased against black and brown communities? Why would these things exist if there wasn't power to that vote? And so I want to, I guess, just to speak in general to people who are not the most encouraged by what this year's election has delivered us, right? Because we have Donald Trump and some would argue a centrist Joe Biden. And so there is a conversation being leveled by many about why vote? Why vote? And as Angela Davis said, I don't think that any one of these is my ideal candidate. But I understand that in order for me to have my revolution, I have to have sensible leadership that will be amenable to making some level of change, some level of compromise with me in a way that comports with justice. We know who that is and we know who that isn't. And so I make this analogy of a bus ride, which is that in urban locales across this nation, we would love to get an Uber ride to our destination. But sometimes we have public transportation that might get us a block or two away from where we need to go. Now, of course, the Uber is ideal, but when we don't get the Uber, that doesn't stop us from getting to our party we need to get to, our meeting. We'll get on that train, we'll get on that bus, and we'll get as close to our destination as possible. We'll get off and we'll fill in the gaps. We'll walk the rest of the way. We'll get there. That's the choices that I think that this election has presented us. We may not have our Uber, but we have something headed in the general direction, and we can walk the rest of the way with what this movement is, has been, and will be in the future. We'll do that together by holding lawmakers accountable to the things that we want done, by electing people who reflect our interests, and voting out people who don't. Like I said, we will do it. And so it's important to remember that, yes, vote. Please go vote. Go vote sensibly. Go vote sensibly. Understanding and appreciating all of the political realities of what this moment is right now, and the fact that we are on the eve of what promises to be one of the most important, if not the most important, election of our lifetime. Vote. But remember that beyond that voting, you hold those who were voted in accountable as the people that you are. We are the people. We run this. We run this. And so as we're renegotiating our social contract with American democracy over the 21st century, it's important for you guys to remember that you run this. We collectively, all of our decisions will make what this America is. The founding fathers had a vision, but it was an imperfect one. It was one that said that women couldn't vote. It was one that had slavery. It was one that had all of these limitations. We are now at a point where it is time to revisit all that this America has and hasn't been. But I'm confident that we can do it together. As I look out in the crowd, I see so much diversity, backgrounds of ages, races, and that's the kind of coalition that it's going to take to really change this America. A coalition that doesn't subscribe to the old logic that says that what this is has to be black and white, but instead a coalition that is formed around a philosophy that we are moving on right versus wrong, that we are moving on love versus hate, that we are moving on compassion versus the lack of empathy that results in so many of the atrocities that we're seeing in the world today. So I want to thank the Freedom Day Foundation for putting this together. Thank all of the singers involved. Let's give them another round of applause. And thank yourselves for coming out here today, because there are other places that you could have been, but you lent your energy and your voices to the cause for justice, to the cause for engagement. And I appreciate you guys, so God bless. Thank you.